Good afternoon, everyone. Hope you all had a good lunch and a good chance to connect with people and were able to have those conversations that you weren't able to have when all the panel sessions and the breakout sessions were going on. So I hope the 2 hours that we had before were a good time to connect and have those meaningful conversations. Now we gather again in an even bigger group. Those of us in the room, but also many others online in this hybrid session on forging stronger partnerships and global scalability with OpenIMIS, where we'll look into a key ingredient in bringing what has brought OpenIMIS to where it is today, collaboration. OpenIMIS would not be where it is today without the support, the strong partnerships, the close collaboration with many agencies and stakeholders throughout the world. Governments, development agencies, academia, software companies, and individuals have been instrumental in bringing OpenIMIS to the stage where it's implemented in over 14 countries and serving millions of beneficiaries throughout this world. So in this session, we dive deeper into this topic of collaboration and understand how it has helped shape the OpenIMIS so far, and also what opportunities we can look forward to in the future. So through this discussion, we'll see how partnerships have diversified the applications of OpenIMIS from looking at the core MIS partnership with the World Bank, but also the opportunities that lie ahead of us together with the UNICEF on disability MIS, and also with ILO on more social health protection issues. We'll also take a broader look at general opportunities in the area of social security, where opportunities are and how they could be approached by us collectively. At the end of this session, I hope that we can all have an understanding and can relate to the diverse contexts and problems that are being solved by OpenIMIS in countries for health and social health protection, and the practicality that OpenIMIS offers to adjust to providing solutions to these problems. Particularly for countries that are looking to implement looking into various systems and also looking at OpenIMIS to implement for themselves. I hope this discussion provides you an insight into how a digital public good, such as OpenIMIS, what it can offer, why an active community alongside open source software is a very good combination to help you have sustainable digitalization in your countries as well. So it won't be me who does all the talking today to give you all these insights. For this, I'm joined on the physical and virtual stage by esteemed friends and colleagues. Let me start with a quick introduction to all of them. I start with Mathilde. Mathilde Meifert is the Health Financing and Social Health Protection Officer at the ILO, and she's also part of the Providing for Health P4H network. Aissata Coulibaly, who is online with us, economist at the Social Protection and Jobs Global Practice at the World Bank, joining us from Washington, D.C. at a very, very early hour. So we thank Aissata for getting up very early for us. Thank you very much. Then we have Dr. Anissa Mintop from Cameroon. He's the head of the Technical Implementation and Coordination Unit for UHC. Then again, moving back online, we have Ernesto Brodezon, the coordinator of the Technical Commission on ICT and Organizational Management and Innovation at ISA, the International Social Security Association. And then finally, we have Alexander Koht, Disability Policy and Systems Specialist at UNICEF. So now let's get into some of the discussions, and I start with Mathilde here. Because we're in Nepal, let's start with some of the context from Nepal as well. Mathilde, the ILO has engaged with Nepal Social Security Fund to improve and extend social health insurance to the formal as well as the informal economies. To what extent does this Nepal experience reflect broader trends in the ILO's work on public health insurance, and what lessons or innovations from Nepal could be relevant to other countries?
Thank you so much. Thank you for the question, Saurav. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, because I think Nepal provides a very good example, should I say, a gold standard to what the support and technical assistance of the ILO in terms of policy can be. So maybe just as a background information to understand a bit where we come from. The ILO is a tripartite normative agency that then sets standards. And we're very lucky to be able to follow and implement these standards in the way we work. So for us, the extension of social protection coverage to all and improvements into the adequacy of benefits are really key axes of our work. And the example of SSF really demonstrate this. So we have worked at different levels. I would say at about 4 different levels in terms of policy assistance with the SSF. The first is on the legal frameworks, and this is really an ILO specificity that we are able to work with countries, with governments, based on international frameworks, on international social security standards, on their legal framework for social protection for all. So in Nepal, we've supported the design of the social security law in 2018, and then subsequent also regulations for social security for the informal economy. So those are examples of the work in that specific area. Then I'd say the second and a very broad one is on policy architecture and the parameters of the schemes. So when we go one level deeper, we really work with the countries on the specific schemes and how they want to shape them to be able to extend the coverage. So in Nepal, this has materialized through the work we have done specifically on helping designing the social protection schemes for the informal economy workers, for self-employed, for migrant workers as well. And here we provide technical assistance, but also feasibility studies, financial studies, actuarial studies to be able to design a scheme that is sustainable. And we also have worked on the extension on more benefits. So we've supported the SSF that is now including different benefits, specifically on health. You have the medical, the maternity scheme. Then, if we go one level deeper, we're also working on institutional capacity building, institutional strengthening. So here we do capacity building for the institutions. We can organize knowledge exchange, international ones with other countries that may share their experiences. This is also what we've done with SSF. And I would say the next level is really on the administrative functions. So all the operational functions that the institution has to fulfill to be able to meet the goals. And here we've worked on strengthening those functions, on registration, for example, and beyond that, on the extension, we've worked on supporting an awareness campaign, for example, last year, together with the SSF, an awareness campaign towards self-employed and informal economy workers. So this is kind of really the school type example of what can be our support. And I think what really distinguishes Nepal is, well, first the commitment. I think we've seen great commitment from the institution to work, progress, extend coverage, and this has been a very reliable collaboration. And I would say the second one is on collaboration. So different ministries have been able to collaborate with the SSF to extend the coverage. If we think about the scheme for migrants, where we have collaborated with the different ministries, including the Foreign Affairs Ministry, to really have this extension a reality for all. So more. I could say much more about this, but I think this has been a very good example. And specifically when looking at OpenEMIS, this is not something that we can say we've done in all countries, but this is a particular feature of Nepal, which I think could be also extended to other countries where we work, is that we've provided this support for extension of OpenEMIS to further modules to ensure that the entire SSF can work on through OpenEMIS on improving efficiency of the whole system. So I think this is the last very good point on Nepal, and we're looking forward to the next steps with the SSF. Thank you.
Thank you, Mathilde. And as you heard from Mathilde, like the ILO really works on the foundational pieces. She didn't stress a lot on the digital part, but it's the other things that need to be in place from institutional arrangements and policy. So, and that's how the collaboration has also become very fruitful. Now moving on to the World Bank, and Aissata, I move to you. And at the bank, so how has the World Bank leveraged digital delivery systems? I have one specifically in mind, Core MIS, powered by OpenEMIS. How have systems like this really, how has the bank been able to leverage them to provide support and help build resilience in various contexts, including fragile, conflict and violence affected regions?
So thanks a lot for this opportunity to give my perspective as an economist at the World Bank working on social protection operation in those fragile conflict and violence contexts. Particularly, I've been working on digital delivery system. So the World Bank has been increasingly developing and leveraging those digital delivery systems like Core MIS as a digital public good, but also has a high impact digital solution with significant potential for FCB setting. Because in FCB setting, beyond project design, the main challenge is to be able to deliver the services to vulnerable population in a context where we have institutional fragility and resource constraint. And the fact that we focus on those digital delivery system is really aligned with our institution strategy in FCB countries, which emphasize strengthening foundational systems and service delivery platform as key enablers of the resilience and jobs agenda. So regarding Core MIS, specifically, there is a growing adoption of this solution in FCB context, including low-income countries like Burundi, Sao Tome and Principe, Malawi, Sierra Leone, and Zambia. And there are other countries which are in the process of adopting this platform. And this is mainly because of the main features of the Core MIS solution. So Core MIS is an open source solution for management and information system. First of all, it is free, so meaning that it comes with no software costs for governments who would like to use this platform. The second point is that it is modular. You have the different module important for the core delivery functions of social protection program, such as beneficiary registration, eligibility, grievance redress mechanism, and payments that are already there, present as modules, and that countries can adapt based on their needs. And one of the other feature of the Core MIS platform is that it is interoperable with other platform like Kobo Toolbox for data collection, but also with payment service providers. And I will say last but not least, one of the very interesting features of this platform is the fact that it's allows small government ownership. Since it is an open source solution, government can use it, adapt it to their needs, and tailor it to what they plan to do based on their objectives with data directly hosted, for instance, in government's data center. So basically, we have been relying on those digital platforms which offered ready-to-use solutions in countries where we know that we have low capacity and very low level of resources, and which are also very vulnerable to shocks where there is a need to proceed quickly when there is a crisis. Thank you.
Thank you, Aissata, for those insights on how Core MIS has really helped move things forward in your work as well. Now we turn back to health, and I turn to you, Dr. Mintop. Cameroon has recently celebrated 3 years of the UHC program. Could you please share with us some of your experiences in implementing UHC, also touching on how different partnerships have helped you in this journey on your path to achieving UHC for Cameroon?
Okay, thank you very much for give us the opportunity to share the experience of Cameroon. It is important to know that, like you say, we celebrate 2 years. We launched official universal health coverage on the 2023 in our country. And the main objective was to provide the health care for the population, specifically where the population is more vulnerable. And also, the Cameroon have a specificity that 72% of population of the immediate pay directly the money for their health. And this situation is not acceptable. And the government tried to put some mechanism to help the population to protect the financial. Then we start with one target, the pregnant woman, the child under 5 years, and some chronic disease like HIV, tuberculosis, and people who suffer for the kidney insufficiency. After 3 years, we have many experience. We learn many things. Our key result was the introduction of open emails like what I say in the English, our main system who will help us to manage the healthcare in the health facilities to resolve the problem of claim processing, and also the production of bills, and also to produce us the data on time to take a good decision. And now we implement of many health facilities, like more than 1,000 health, and in the 10 region, and more than 200 health district. And now we have many challenge also. We have many challenge on that. The first challenge is the framework, because we are not have now the legal. Now we are work on that. Another challenge is the interoperability, because we have many systems, many partners. Then we have to have this system who can be interoperable with each other. The other challenge is the network, because we are in our country, it is not easy to have a network in some part. We develop many things, but it is a challenge. And also human resource. The advantage of OpenEMIS that we see is because OpenEMIS is modular, we are in implementation, and it's possible to us to do many things, to add many things, give also with open source to do our needs in the country, and also give the advantage for us to have a data on time. And we have many challenges, but I hope that we are only in 3 years, and with the support of all the community, we hope that we will improve what we are doing now. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mintop. Very glad to hear that OpenEMIS has been able to help you in this journey, and also particularly the fact that, you know, it was owned by the government and enables digital sovereignty within the government as well. Cameroon is also a place where there's always been a lot of collaboration. And here, Mathilde, maybe I turn to you on the P4H network and OpenEMIS. So P4H network that focuses on facilitating collaborations around social health protection, and at all levels, global, regional, as well as country level. And then OpenEMIS that is really focused on the digital delivery side. Could you talk about, but maybe also to the audience, a very short introduction what the P4H network is, as maybe not all of us are very informed on it. And then your views on how these two networks, like the P4H network and the OpenEMIS community, complement each other. So your thoughts on that, please.
Okay, thank you so much. Yes, maybe just a few words on providing for health. And also just to mention, I'm the global coordination point for the ILO for P4H. So P4H, as you have said, works at the intersection of social health protection and health financing, and works on collaborative activities to foster coordination among development partners and national stakeholders towards a certain alignment of partners on national priorities towards universal health coverage and universal social protection. So we have about 21 members. Yeah, we have 21 members in the network. They're from UN agencies, development banks. We have bilateral cooperation, academia, etc. And we also have governments from countries that want to be also part of the network. There are 3 agencies hosting the network, and now we have this structure with this coordination global focal points that are in WHO, in World Bank, and at ILO. So I think this is the introduction for P4H. And what is really the value added of P4H is the network of country focal points that we have. So country focal points are deployed by institutions in countries to create this coordination among members at country level. Well, we have one today. We have Nicolo, who's here, a country focal person for Nepal, and who's deployed from GIZ. Which is a very precious partner of the network. So I think in terms of directly responding your question to the kind of complementarities and how we can work together, I think it's quite clear that in our DNA, we're kind of mutually created around this idea that collaboration makes a difference, and that you need a collaborative approach towards reaching SDGs. And this is quite clear that at P4H level, we have partners working on technical assistance, providing policy advice to countries wanted to reform the system and move towards UHC. And from OpenAMI's front, we have digital tools that helps realizing this vision. So this is quite interesting that we also have some level of technical exchange as part of the P4H network through the technical exchange group. That's a group of experts from all of those organizations that meets through a formal meeting twice a year to exchange on the good practices. Where we exchange really about the good practices in terms of policy implementation. And this is also what I see in OpenIMIS, exchanging about the good practices about how you implement this digital tool. So I think the second complementarity I see is mostly at the national level. We have just heard from Cameroon actually. Cameroon, where we have a country focal person also deployed by GIZ, who's been there for a number of years. And she's been working actively on providing technical expertise, technical assistance and support to the government. But she's been instrumental as well in the deployment of OpenIMIS. She's been facilitating dialogues among partners. She's been making sure that there's a coordinated approach to policy support so that partners can really advise on the different parameters of the regime and on the way UHC should be built, so basically on the system, so that then OpenIMIS can be customized while responding to the specific needs that could have been defined at the policy level. And I think this link between the two is really important. And I think the network has been instrumental not only in terms of implementation, but also in terms of monitoring and follow-up. So through OpenIMIS, there were some delays in payments that were noted at some point, and the country focal point was able to coordinate partners to form an advocacy towards the government for financing UHC. So I think those complementarities are really obvious, and this is where we can have more engagement. The third point, I think I would, the third similarity or complementarity that I would mention is on how we work across sectors. So OpenIMIS works also across social protection and health sectors, and this is really also part of how P4H works. P4H works across social health protection, social protection, and health sectors, and with the idea that we need to overcome silos if we are to reach UHC and USP. And this is where OpenIMIS can help realize this vision as well. So we have talked already earlier yesterday and today about interoperability, and this is really where and what the spirit also of P4H network is that through interoperability, you create these links between social protection benefits, between the social protection and the health sectors. If you look at interoperability with FIHR, so all of these contribute to an integrated approach that you can have for your populations that not only contributes to UHC, but in fact also contributes to health. If you think of the social determinants of health approach, whereby social protection by providing income security as well as access to health can act on the health status. So I think this has a very important role to play. And I would say the last complementarity that I would see, and I would maybe encourage to develop further, is that where we have country focal points, where the network has country focal points, it can be interesting to channel demands or information that is robust, that there is not much capacity nationally. We should be able to, in a quick way, provide this information about OpenEMIS to the countries and how we can implement it. So as you see, I think there's still much to be done on this. I would just like to mention one last comment on the fact that both initiatives, they are funded by the Swiss government agency, SDC, and actually partnerships and donors are absolutely fundamental if we want to work across agencies, across silos, and in both respects of both OpenEMIS and P4H network, we can see how this commitment from SDC has leveraged collaborations for UHC and USP. So really, I'd like to finish on really commending these efforts, and we hope that we can continue working together. Thank you.
Thank you, Mathilde. And now let's move to a different kind of network. So we heard about the P4H network, but now moving on to Isa and Ernesto. You're the coordinator of the Technical Commission on ICT and Organizational Management and Innovation at ISA, which is a different kind of network than what P4H is, what was just described. Could you give us insights on what are the key challenges and needs in digitalization that you see coming up from your members, from the ISA members?
Yes, thank you very much. Can you hear me okay? There was a slight change in my setup. I see some head nods. Okay, good.
We hear you very well.
Okay, good. Thank you. So, well, first, thank you for the invitation. I am really sorry I couldn't be there physically. It would have been great, but simply time commitment was almost impossible to make things happen. For us, the OpenEMIS collaboration, as with other institutions, is really important. We see OpenEMIS really the community that is being built with OpenEMIS is really a strategic community for many institutions, and we really are very fortunate to be part of this community. To your question, what are the kind of challenges? I think many institutions are really moving beyond now the process of digitalization and paper-based processes. A lot of institutions are really moving forward, and so most institutions are really rethinking the way they design services and the way that to both Mathilde's and Cameron's experience on how do you share information, not only between institutions, but also within the institutions themselves, because there are silos. And I was really happy to hear about this challenge, which is an ongoing challenge that we see. There is another other challenges to make sure that we don't leave people behind when we're actually doing and developing these digital solutions. That we make sure that we contemplate those individuals who maybe are not so acquainted with digital solutions, and for that, of course, we need to start by making sure that these solutions and these digital services are really focused to have the center in the user, with a user-centered design, to make sure that we're using plain language, that we're using mechanisms to communicate in the way and the channels that people are generally using. That helps bridge some gaps, but of course, it is not everything. But it is part of an inclusion strategy, and I think digitalization is a key element to really reach a lot of people who are not being tended to, and we see that with a lot of technologies, especially now, as a lot of people have been hearing on this trend on the use of artificial intelligence. AI is actually not only reaching more people, but it's actually being able to reach and tackle some of these challenges around bridging these language barriers through multi-language a collaborative communication approaches. I would say that one of the biggest challenges I think most institutions have is data, no, and a lot of things around data that are critical. It starts from the basic core general governance of data and the management of the data, and it works all the way down to privacy and as well as security itself. It's cybersecurity, of course, has been one of the key elements that has really been a concern in the community, both within ESA members as with the general community. I think in general. I think one of the biggest challenges is always the change management approaches. No, the leveraging, as I said at the beginning, changing the digital service design to really engage these individuals sometimes requires institutions to really compromise and actually create a bigger organizational change. And we see that, and we see that, and we need the tools to really engage with multiple stakeholders, not only focus on the technology solutions, but also engage with the staff, with our users, with the business units, with different stakeholders to make sure that the solutions that we're building are actually adequate for the objectives that we're using. And I think one of the final challenges, I think, well, the latest challenge is actually, it is related to the latest. We can't hardly talk any digitalization project today without talking about artificial intelligence, and it's the responsible use of AI and making sure that we use AI for the main objective, to make sure that we use it where it makes sense, not just use it because of it's trendy, but actually use it responsibly to make sure that it actually fits the needs of individuals. And AI is that powerful tool that actually does allow institutions to really take a next step and take institutions to the next level. So I think in summary, I would say it's both internal as well as external challenges, no, to try to deal with digitalization. It's or building digital solutions in social protection and social security. It has many different components, and we hardly think of them anymore as purely technology challenges. It's organizational transformation, and making sure that we're really addressing the needs of individuals, and not and I think this is where OpenIMS is actually excelling at, is really giving a great tools to many institutions that are whether they are at an infancy stage or starting to digitalize process, but actually moving into more mature stages in digitalization of their services and actually really excelling at that. And we think and we are committed to these open images as a tool to be able to really reach these objectives and to provide additional tools to the social security community in general. That's I'll stop there. I think and I'm happy to engage any more questions. Thank you, Saurabh.
Sure. Thanks, Ernesto. A lot of challenges ranging from AI, availability of data, but also organizational issues within organizations. But one thing that struck out, inclusion. And Alex, maybe I swing to you on this point. You've been working in the field of disability and inclusion for I don't know how many years, and recently we've been talking together about disability MIS, which a tool like OpenIMIS could help build the foundations for. Maybe you could reflect a little bit for the audience. I know you had a session yesterday on disability MIS, but maybe a refresher for the audience on what we're actually talking about, and then how you've seen that a digital public good like OpenIMIS can actually help the cause of not only UNICEF but governments that really want to mainstream disability and inclusion into all their programs.
Thank you very much, Saurabh, and thanks very much for having us here. I feel a bit like a free rider, when people have worked for a decade, face a lot of hurdle, and then you come in and swoop some of the results. That's a little bit the spirit, I think, in a very constructive and collaborative way. I think just maybe at the start, why are we talking about disability management information systems? Globally, there is a growing need from government to have administrative identification of children and adults with disabilities, because they ratified the Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, changed their laws, and they need to deliver support that are written in the laws, but also because you have a massive expansion of social protection systems. And there is a wide consensus that people with disabilities, both children, adults, but also older persons, are actually primary beneficiaries, or should be primary beneficiaries of social protection systems. But we see also expansion of universal health coverage. And we know that healthcare costs are some of the primary driver of poverty for persons with disabilities and their families. Inclusive education. How can you make your system more inclusive if you don't know who are the children that are in needs of support? Care economy, care support. We are talking about aging societies with more and more needs for care, and what kind of support do they need? And finally, disaster preparedness. We know statistically, persons with disability are more likely to be disproportionately impacted by disasters. So you have this whole convergence of need for administrative identification. And what we see is kind of everybody is going its own way. And we face a significant problem where government, different ministries are different people for different purpose, and there is no clarity about that. From a more specific aspect on social protection, it's important to know that the biggest driver for government expenditure on disability support are disability cash transfer. It's true in OECD country, it's true the disability cards, and other country will be other systems. And this is probably the number one question we, ILO, the World Bank, UNDP, receive from government when those programs initiate. How do we decide who needs disability support and who should get it? And it's a pretty complex, I think, process. And I would like to go back to some of the points that were made before. we've seen in recent years a whole enthusiasm for MIS. Let's do an app that will identify people with disabilities, and there is a dashboard and everything is there. And quickly you realize that, yes, we have the technique to do it, but the policy work behind it has not always been done. Why actually we are identifying? What is the package? Where the financing from the benefit that will come with disability certification, etc., etc. Interoperability. Who other ministries are collecting data? What is the connection? Are those the same people or not, etc., etc. So there is this whole work that we are doing in trying to provide government with a roadmap to understand what are all the questions you need to tackle before you initiate really a DMIS solution. But there are few points where a well-thought DMIS solution can be extremely useful. The first one is accessibility. One of the biggest problems is setting up system of identification that people do not access because you have to meet the doctor in a district hospital. And many people, actually those who need it the most, people with mobility issues in remote area, are not accessing this administrative identification process. And for a long time, we didn't really have a solution. Digitization of assessment with app-based, fairly comprehensive assessment, looking not only at the type of impairment or difficulties, but also the support needs that people have. Before, paper-based, quasi impossible to do by non-specialist staff. Today, with app-based assessment, with skip logic, etc., you can really do fairly comprehensive assessment in a fairly simple way by non-specialist staff at the local level. But then there is another question that is as important: trustworthiness of the system. If different ministries, government, service providers do not trust the system by which person with disability are officially identified, then they will not resource the benefits and the service they are entitled to. And there again, a DMIS, a well-thought DMIS, can provide very clear advantage. First, by facilitating the flow of information from the local level to the central level, facilitating oversight, transparency, auditing, but also interoperability. Basically, is this person still alive? Is this person really existing? What is this person already getting from other benefits or from other systems? One of the core issues that we face also is data protection and privacy. When you do a disability assessment, you collect a lot of very sensitive data about an individual. Health condition, family structure, relationship within the family, who is supportive, etc. How this information will be protected? Who will have access to this information? And we believe that all the work that you've done, for instance, on health insurance, on social protection, this is something that you already faced many of those questions, and that can be applied also to disability. Maybe a few points I wanted to mention is what does it mean in different contexts? For instance, digitization in Myanmar. So you are aware of the situation, conflict situation, the need for certain actors, including UNICEF, to have parallel systems to be able to deliver support. And we've been able, through an app-based assessment and a bespoke MIS, to deliver of person with disability, local organizations in a very effective ways. And this leads to some conversation on how this can also then transfer or connect to government systems. Bhutan, we have our colleagues in the room, and this is a big game changer, some of you have talked about it yesterday, is the whole issue of electronic patient records in health system. I don't know, 5-7 years ago, I didn't think that this would happen that fast. I was in Bhutan, they mentioned it. I was in Rwanda a few weeks ago. The government is asking us support to put assistive technology and rehabilitation in electronic patient record. This will change everything if this is interoperable with whatever the MIS system is built. But importantly, if you look at Laos, and again, we have the colleagues in the room, don't hesitate to talk to them. It's the fact that you need to think your DMIS solution in a much broader set of policy, discussion and framework, agreement, executive agreement between ministries on the financing of the whole system and the output of the system. And that again, we feel that and we will discuss further later, but that the OpenMIS community, we were just talking with Mathilde, the fact that it's a community where technicians and policy people have already met on issue of health insurance, social protection. So that provides us with a platform that we think can be very, very fruitful. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. Thank you, Alex. And no, and we're very excited to you've mentioned throughout your talk was on interoperability, no, and the need for it. Maybe I turn to Aissata right now in terms of the implementation in Burundi of the core MIS solution of OpenMIS. How did OpenMIS or core MIS help to address gaps in interoperability? One, in technically, so how was the interoperability scenario during implementation? But did that also, what was the role of stakeholder coordination, or how did that all fit in to the implementation? Did having a tool that was easily interoperable also help with this, or what was the general experiences that you had while implementing core MIS in Burundi?
No, thanks a lot. So I think that it is important to give the context in Burundi. So in Burundi, we have a national safety net program called Milonkabandi. And as in many FCV countries, Burundi is confronted to compounded crisis. It is a country with a high poverty rate, but it is also the country with the highest stunting rate in the world. So there is a lot of focus on women and children. And Milonkabandi is the flagship safety net program. In English, we call it the Cash for Jobs project. So the project was launched in 2016 as a pilot, and now it has reached more than 1.5 million individuals through emergency cash transfers when there is a crisis. For instance, 2 years ago, due to the El Nino phenomenon, there were floods, and the project supported the government response to this shock. The project also provides a comprehensive package of productive inclusion, which includes regular cash transfers, so monthly cash transfers to vulnerable households, but also accompanying measures with a focus on nutrition, how to start an income generating activity, and we will provide also financing to start an income generating activity after 18 months of regular cash transfers to make sure that the results are sustainable. And we also organize beneficiaries into village saving and loan association so that they can save and support each other and also have better access to more financial services like microfinance institution, for instance. So the main issue that we had before moving to the core MIS platform was that we had an external firm that was responsible for the management and information system of the project. And the project was facing a lot of issues related to vendor leaking issues. For instance, access to the data was limited, as well as access to the backend system. And the system, it will also take a lot of time to do upgrades to the system when there was a need, to fix some bugs, for instance. So in Burundi, when 2 years ago there were floods and landslides, and where there was a need to respond to this shock, Core MIS appeared as a solution to rapidly move to a system that was not flexible, to a more adaptable modular system. So all the advantages of this system. And we can say that today Burundi is a success story regarding the adoption of this core MIS solution, because we were able to do the migration within 5 months. And that was mainly because first we prioritize needs before thinking about the functionalities of the system. And one of the major need for cash transfers program is the payment of beneficiaries. And this is where the interoperability will mainly come under the Miran-Kabandi program, because we have to make sure that through our management and information system, we were able to effectively manage payments to our beneficiaries. And under Miran-Kabandi, we work with 4 financial service providers. And for the interoperability, we have 2 options. So the first option was for the payment service providers to connect directly to the API of the core MIS, or the second option was to have the system, the core MIS system, connect to the API of payment service providers. And it comes with a lot of challenges. First, to coordinate with the different payment agencies which have different processes, and also to make sure that the system works, to do the different testing of the different integration. And this phase took a lot of time, so we have to work closely with IT teams at the project level, but also IT teams of payment service providers to make sure that everything works. We also have to work in coordination with operation teams that are in charge of building beneficiary lists, to make sure that we have up-to-date lists that are going to be integrated in the system as well. And under the project for data collection, we have been relying on Kobo Toolbox. And the fact that the core MIS platform is interoperable with Kobo Toolbox help a lot as well to do the updates of the beneficiaries list and also to update information regarding the social ID, but also the phone number that is used. Because under Me Yonka Bondi, to make sure that all beneficiaries have access to a mobile wallet, we provide mobile phone to all beneficiaries with SIM cards, and we open mobile wallet for them. So with Kobo Toolbox, we were able to collect this information quickly since it was a shock response, to have that in the system, to also make sure with the operational teams working in the ground that all the lists are up to date, and then work on the technical aspects to make sure that we have this interoperability with payment service provider as well, to be able to make the payments on time to all beneficiaries. And I will say that it is a learning by doing process, because we are still learning, still adjusting to make sure that the payments are made effectively. And we also have the support of the government data center as well, where data from Me Yonka Bondi are hosted. So this is mainly on the payment side. And one point that is also interesting is that with the Core MIS platform, it is also the same way there is this interoperability with payment agencies. We also connected with Hanover Projects, which is providing solar kits, to subsidize solar kits to vulnerable households in Burundi. So we connected the API of both projects, and now they have limited access to our beneficiary database to be able to target households that are vulnerable for those subsidized solar kits in Burundi, and also to check who has benefited from this solution. So on our side, it has relatively worked well, even if it requires a lot of coordination between different teams which have different priorities. So it requires a lot of government leadership here as well to make it happen and to make it work. Thank you.
Thank you, Tata. I'm just doing a quick time check. We're at the top of the hour. We still have half an hour to go, but we should also give a chance for questions. I still have a few more for the round, and then let's keep the answers short in this round, and then we'll open up the floor to both online and in-person questions. But still keeping on the topic of interoperability and how that has how OpenIMIS has helped, and in general how it has helped achieve UHC in Cameroon. Dr. Minto, if you could speak about how interoperability plays a role, a central role perhaps in achieving UHC together with the use of OpenIMIS.
Okay, thank you. In the Cameroon, we work on the interoperability of OpenIMIS, because at the beginning, before UHC, we have many platforms. And also, like you know, UHC is not only the domain of the Minister of Public Health. We have other sectors, and any sector has its own platform, like social sector, vulnerable sector. We can not what I can say, restart to do all, but we have to use what to bring. It is what we work to do with OpenEMIS. And today we have interoperability with three main platforms. The RESUC platform, I don't know if you know, the RESUC platform is the social registry of vulnerable used by the Minister of Social Affairs. We have interoperability with DHIS2 for the National Information Health System. We have also worked on interoperability with the platform who help us to enroll the someone, yeah, the patient who is eligible in our health packet. Then now we continue to work with other to introduce other platform, and also we have our platform to analyze data that we work also in interoperability. But the main challenge now is to work very hard, because in Cameroon we are in place to the government decide to put in place the medical electronic yes, and now we are see how this interoperability will be done. We have also decided to manage drugs with even I am not an informatician, but I know it is also the same open source like OpenEMIS, and we work also to have a interoperability on that. It is the opportunity that OpenEMIS give us, because it is not close, and but it is not easy. It is not easy, because it is we have to fight. We have to fight because it is new, and many colleagues don't understand very well where you are going, and sometimes they think that when you create the interoperability, the financing will stop for the platform. That there's many, but we try, and after 3 years, we are satisfied, because many, in the help of partners like JZ and Becat Ash, and also we work to have a coalition to universal health coverage, where we address many problems, financing, but the digitalization is also the main problem that we address in this platform with others. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mintop. I think he gave us a phrase that we've all heard before, but sometimes might not find it easy to say. That he said interoperability is not easy. No, so but it is important, and we must fight to do it. And maybe I turn to you, Mathilde, on this. Like, one of the reasons why interoperability is very important and why we should fight for it is the gains we can have at policy level. No, like, so from your experience and working, I know you're working quite a bit on this from the P4H network side as well, to make the case for, you know, interoperability playing into policy design. So if you could give us a very brief insight into what interoperability could offer in terms of policy gains.
Okay, Thank you so much, Sourav. And yes, I would agree with Dr. Mintop that operability is not easy. And I would add interoperability is a political issue, and it's not mostly not a technical one. This is what we see in countries where we have to really advocate for efforts at all levels for an enhanced understanding of what interoperability is and why we do that. I would just mention maybe a few points, but before I do that, I wanted to get back to one element that Alexandre mentioned earlier as well. And it's that, so MIS are a tool, and interoperability is also a tool. And in this case, I think what we see is that digitization here can help realize policy goals. But it has to be suited for systems that are responding to those policy needs and goals. So when we talk about information systems, it's very important that we think about first the policy framework, then how, which operational functions do we need to reach those different goals, and then which business processes will help us to achieve them, and then in the end on information systems and how systems like OpenMIS can achieve them, and then how interoperability can help us achieve them. So I would say the first point, and we have seen through also the examples here, is that interoperability can really help in terms of coverage extension. And this is what we're seeing everywhere. And specifically, if you look at Nepal, interoperability with the ID, the national ID system is really important to bridge the gaps in terms of coverage. I would say the second point after extension is adequacy, to make sure you have a high level of benefits. And this is really part of the UHC goals, is to make sure that the benefits you are providing actually meets the needs of the population, and that that can be done partly through interoperability with the health sector. And this is really important to develop even further the mechanisms that we have already at hand. We talked earlier about the electronic medical records and all those systems to ensure that from the social protection angle, we have an overview of how beneficiaries are actually receiving the benefits they should avail. And then I would say the last point, and also joining again the issue of disability. I think where really interoperability is absolutely needed for reaching UHC is the comprehensiveness of benefits that should be delivered. And I mentioned earlier the social determinants of health and health equity. We need to ensure that people are receiving the services, the healthcare services that they need, but also that they are protected through income security mechanisms. And this is where interoperability also helps us, interoperability between social protection benefits, to have this comprehensive view of how you address the needs of the most vulnerable ones. And it can really help also developing another vision on how you see problems within an individual. So rather than having one institution or one scheme looking at one side and another institution looking at another need, etc., through interoperability, you can reconcile this vision and have a global overview and a comprehensive overview of what the individuals really need. And I would say last few words, specifically coming from the P4H angle. I think what we really need to realize this vision is, and this is really demonstrated by the example of Cameroon, is leadership. It's really what we need, leadership and policy commitment. within this policy commitment, we should also be very mindful of the data privacy and security issues that interoperability might represent, to be able to build also legal frameworks that include those new challenges, because those are new challenges. We will have no you have usually legal frameworks for data security that cover one institution or the other, or one database or the other. And now we need to make sure that you have an integrated also framework when you reach this level of interoperability where the data can be used at different points. So I think this will be the last point, because I know we need to be quick, but thank you so much.
Thank you, Mathilde. Now, Ernesto, we're starting to wrap up here, and Ernesto, you mentioned about challenges that organizations are facing, but you've also followed OpenIMIS and its journey through at least the last few years. No, you've seen how it as a tool, as the community. I think you can still see the room. The room is quite full, still listening to us an hour and 14 minutes in. What opportunities do you see for the OpenIMIS community to engage, to help social security organizations with their challenges? No, like, where do you see opportunities arising from to address the challenges that you were mentioning before?
Well, I think, first I want to react quickly to a couple of comments, and we can talk about that very quickly. Just, I totally agree. I like Mathilde's comment that interoperability is not just a technical issue; it's a governance and it's a organizational issue. And I think the experience from Cameroon about the struggles in integrating different stakeholders information is important, and also from Maysata's comments on these challenges on making sure that the data is right and the standards and the data quality is right. And this is something that we firmly believe in. I think we think there's a lot to be learned from all these experiences, and this is precisely what we do at HISA as well. No, we try to share a lot of these experiences. We come up with articles and share these experiences across to others, and through events, articles, etc. So it's part of this process, so that we do less learning by doing, but actually follow a bit more of a structured approach. To your comment on OpenIMIS, I mean, it's such a rich and vibrant community, and I'm very happy that we are leveraging it. We just proposed, as you all heard this morning, on using OpenIMIS as a platform to build new digital public goods that are common to many different challenges that we see. And for example, the one that was discussed even this morning about artificial intelligence, specifically, there are many challenges around this, and integrating and establishing data quality data quality processes to make sure that the semantics and the information structure, it matches different sources, is actually correct, is part of these digital goods that we can build on top of this OpenIMIS platform, that we can leverage this community, because there are many challenges that are common to all. Yesterday, which is one of the reasons why I couldn't be there, there's still ongoing a course in the ITCILO, and we were talking about precisely these common challenges, and they're very related to some of the common challenges that we see and hear today around data quality, around being able to access and provide better and personalized services, the inclusion challenges that we talked about, being able to really address common challenges around fraud, fraud detection. All of these tools, if we and I'm sure when we really build these tools through an OpenIMS platform, we can actually leverage these tools as the foundational elements, of course, that institutions would actually customize and build on top of. And I think it's a really powerful platform. We're really happy to be able to collaborate. Hopefully that we can expand to also other regions. And I know we're already working in doing that. And because I think there's no sense on trying to repeat a common foundational technological processes that actually can be shared across different institutions. So I'll stop there because I know we need to be quick. I'm being quick. Yeah.
Thanks, Ernesto. And Alex, final word to you. This is the first time you're engaging with the OpenIMS community. Your thoughts on what you've seen, how we can engage, and maybe reflection on anything that you've heard during the session today.
Thank you. And I think first you asked before the question of why a DPG for a disability management information system. And the more I listen, the more I'm clear. Why? Reducing the entry cost for countries, minimizing the friction in a sense that, as mentioned, identifying person with disability for all the purpose we mentioned is fairly complicated. There is a lot of policy elements you need to take into consideration. If, as a community, as a collective, we can say, don't worry too much about the tech. We get that covered. This has been tried. We have elements that will help you build your system. Focus on the rest first. So I think it's one point. The second point is, and I think many colleagues, is leveraging a community. Like those problems have been dealt elsewhere by other people already. And I think many countries, colleagues, especially if you come from the disability unit in the Ministry of Social Affairs, you don't know necessarily everything that has been done elsewhere. So having a DPG and a community behind it that can help you connect, but you know that actually in this country they already have done this. In this country they already have done that. I think it's really helpful. One point that was mentioned also is you are trying to anticipate new issues. AI, we know it's coming. There are already countries thinking, oh, how can we use AI to better identify people with disabilities? Or to use AI, for instance, in administrative decision with regards to eligibility. We knew that AI are trained on data that can also factor disability bias, etc. You are looking into all those things also. So I think this would be my main point, basically. Yeah.
Thank you, Alex. And thank you, everyone, for staying tuned to all this discussion. During this whole time, this conversation has been broadcast live online, together with the support of our regional hub, the Asian eHealth Information Network, AHIN, and they have provided the online platform for the exchange as well, and have curated some questions that have come from the live audience. I would ask AHIN to maybe pose some of those questions and also request everyone here to maybe one person per question, and then we keep it short so as to allow for other questions that might be in the room as well. But I'd hand over to AHIN to maybe give us one or two questions that they've curated from the online audience.
Thank you, Saurabh. So actually, we have two questions on the chat right now. So the first one is from Titus. So he asks, can a government national agency whose role is more on regulating different regional health insurance schemes and private sector payers across the country use OpenIMS? So he also wants to clarify about this statement because he was informed that OpenIMS use cases are more at the operational level and not at the regulatory level, where the agency can have a holistic oversight of the scheme utilization and data flow. So that's the first question. do we proceed with the second question, or would you like
Yes, please,
to
Christine.
discuss?
Maybe both questions and then we see.
All right. For the second question, it's a question from Friday Oku, the president of the Association of Scraps and Waste Pickers of Lagos State in Nigeria. He wanted to ask how the Open IMIS initiative can partner or collaborate with their organization. So to provide a brief background about their organization, it's a member-based association organizing and advocating for the informal waste pickers or collectors, and they are also an affiliate of the International Alliance of Waste Pickers. So those are the two questions.
Thank you very much, Christine.
Correct.
Those two questions, both are very Open IMIS specific. So if the guest would allow, like, let me just tackle them very briefly, and maybe Mathilde, if you want to add, please feel free to do so. In terms of using Open IMIS as a tool for regulatory bodies, again, it is possible. We need to look at what solutions are required. Open IMIS generally is an operational tool, but we do manage a lot of benefit packages within Open IMIS, so that could feature into something for regulators as well to keep track of different agencies that are using it. We do have some implementations. We have an implementation in Senegal, which is connecting a lot of different insurers, so that could be a model. And then for partnering with Open IMIS, I think we're always open. So we'd pick up the conversation after this to see how you could leverage Open IMIS in your organization, as you might be providing social protection services to the informal sector waste pickers as well. If there are no other online questions, I would open it up to the floor. If there are any questions, we have about 5 minutes left to the panel here or online. Please feel free. Jigme has a question. Maybe you can take this one.
Good afternoon, Jimmy from Bhutan. I have a question to UNICEF representative and to Open IMIS. Now, if we have to build this DMIS component within the Open IMIS systems, how long would it take to develop a system? Because there are a number of countries, including Bhutan, who would like to have DMI systems. Have you reached any agreement on this?
Actually, we are in the conversation that is ongoing. The idea is basically there are several countries that are really interested, notably Laos, Sierra Leone, and others. And the idea would be to work together to support those countries to develop their system with a common technical backstopping, so that whatever we learn from the development of the system in those countries contribute to our solution. As for the timeline, as soon as you say different countries, and within countries you talk about different ministries, yeah, time can be fairly flexible. But I think if we look at the different countries, we have for instance, Sierra Leone and Laos, a lot of the background policy work has already been done. Laos has developed a full roadmap, master plan for this. So I would estimate that any times between 2 to 3 years, we would have the solution. I don't know, Sohaib, if you want to add.
No, absolutely. It's we all of us working on the DMIS have a lot of homework to do. No, and it's the homework is not programming software. No, it's about writing down what we actually need, and making sure it makes sense before we hand it over to the programmers. Because I don't know if you remember how Uwe described how programmers are. No, like they're expensive, and unless you tell them exactly what you want, it's going to be difficult to get a correct output. So we need to do our homework beforehand to make sure we have those requirements in place. Any other questions? Okay. Well, if not, then I thank you all very much, starting with our colleagues online. A special thanks to Aisata in Washington for waking up super early, and she was up even for the practice call an hour before we already started. So it was very early morning in Washington, D.C. So thank you very much for joining us. Ernesto, I know busy schedule traveling, so thank you for making time for us. And then everyone else here in the room, Alex, Mathilde, and Dr. Mintop, thank you very much for your time. And lastly, thank you all for staying with us for more than an hour and a half. I hope this was a good reflection on how collaboration works, how partnerships can bring forward, and we're looking forward to continuing collaborating with all of you and beyond to make sure OpenIMIS solves the problems that you are facing. So thank you very much and enjoy the other sessions afterwards.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Bye-bye.